She's going live. I'm gonna sit her here for a second so I can send the link to everybody.
I mean, that means I gotta go on my phone, right?
Yep, sorry, we're good. There it is.
That's right in the middle of the...
Looks like, can you see everything fine?
Yeah.
Everything jigs live. Okay, I got it. Turn that volume off. I don't need that.
Oh, there's 2 likes.
Post.
And it's you and him.
Don't judge.
You know what? I'll go on and do it too.
Now I'm gonna send the link to a few other people, and we're getting going. What's going on, Chris? Thanks for joining us, buddy. You know the drill. We'll kind of get ready here for a minute, and why does that look really weird? The video, the preview, like we're really dark.
I'm in the fish tank.
Yeah, we're testing Mike today. All right, phone. Don't do the same thing that Mike just did. Wah.
All right, so you sent me the link.
About to share, copy link. You are paste, send,
Got it.
and your buddy Joe. Where is he?
Copy.
Paste. East Coast. Oh, wait a minute. Send it to Derek this way. Paste.
Where do I go to like? Can I even do that?
Yeah, close the chat. Hit the X. Always been damn ship ass and hey everybody. Oh hey, that's you.
Hey, that's me.
Hey
Where
Derek.
did they change the swipe up thing? How do I do that now?
I've never had that option, so I don't know. I never knew how it worked. Casting North, what's going on? Andrew Harris, Gordy, thank you all for joining.
I'm trying to do this. Oh, you gotta give me a second.
Ooh, a match.
Oh, we got a new hat.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
Flapper one. Don't worry, everybody. He's coming back on the stream. Give him a second. What's going on,
Here,
Kevin?
give me
It's a little
a
dark.
second.
It's a little... Okay, so that's... I got it. I got it. No, sit down. I got it. It's all camera. Yeah, it's camera settings. I'm not sure why it's so dark all of a sudden.
It's a little dark. Did I try the Mojo jig? What was that again?
That was the poor man's Carolina Ring.
Oh! You did.
I did.
You tried it. You get anything on it?
No, it was only through it for like 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, ask him how that looks, because to me it looks like 10 times better.
Yeah, that's brighter. That's much brighter.
Alright,
Yeah.
sweet. Been waiting
know.
for a New England jig video for a while.
Damn right. I don't know what it is
Pretty much
about...
every single video we make.
Yeah, my stream setup, it's my computer or what, but like it's like every 2 or 3 weeks something random like that happens where all of a sudden one of my settings that's been working literally for months on end decides to just be like, sorry, we're not there anymore, we're not working. I don't understand it, but it happens.
I think I got it.
Awesome, thank you.
I think I got it on my on my thing.
Guys, everybody's still watching the stream. Let me know if that's still too dark or if that looks good enough. I think that should be good. Yeah, Kevin, we did try the Mojo rig a little bit. I liked it. It was good. It took me a minute to figure out, you know, which way to peg it so my weight wouldn't still slide, but got it sorted out. Tanks and cubes have you mesmerized. Should be good now, buddy. Ben, yes, New England jig video. It is. This has been in the making for a long while. We're finally able to get everything going. And what's going on, Joe? Thank you, buddy, for coming in to watch and sharing it and everything. All right. I think we're ready to rock. As long as everybody's cool with the stream quality, the brightness is good. Again, I don't know why that all of a sudden changed, but that's how it goes. Make sure we're loud enough. As always, give me live feedback. I can take care of it on the fly. Otherwise, I think we're ready to rock.
We're both drinking energy drinks.
Yeah, we're starting to kind of get old, man. We're trying to jump through stories so I can't drive people to feed. Oh, Instagram took away click-through stories? That sucks. That's because I was getting close to 10K. I promise.
Yeah, that's what happens.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Well, it
That's
used
what
to.
Follow me on Instagram, damn it. Help me out here. I gotta catch up.
It used to be that as long as you hit 10,000 followers, then you get that swipe up thing, and you can tie a link to it. So if somebody catches your story on Instagram, you just swipe up and it takes you directly to it. You know, like Beast Coast would use it whenever
Oh,
they,
yeah,
had new stuff they threw on the site.
Yep.
It was good. A lot of people used it when they did like apparel drops. We had a lot of stuff to cover. No beer tonight, folks. It has been a long week,
It's been a
and
long day.
yeah, long day.
On Wednesday.
And it's
Yeah, it's only my second day of the week.
yeah, he works Tuesday through Saturday. Yeah.
All right. Happy Tuesday.
Thanks.
All right, let's get into it. So, for everybody that's watching, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate everybody coming out to watch tonight. As you saw from the video title, the topic tonight is everything jigs, and I do not exaggerate when I say that, as you can see. Well, I don't know if you can see my hand, but, we got the tank. Sorry, I put it behind Mr. Mike there. We're joined by Mike Zampese, who's also on the Beast Coast fishing team. Say hi, Mike.
How you guys doing?
We're going to do a deep dive into this, but more importantly, we're here to answer questions. We want feedback from the chat. We want you guys to be able to just ask us anything and everything from, how we're fishing in, or like, color variations, jig head styles, times of the year, forage, how that plays into effect. Like literally anything is on the table, as always.
It's
So,
almost like a Q&A, but with
jigs.
the jig guest.
Exactly. So, for those that are still here, two things. One, if you could do me a favor, please, and just like the stream really quick. It takes 1 second, and it helps more than you can know. And then on top of that, as you can see, I updated the donation total from last week. We had a ton of donations last week. I think it might be under. I think we got, it was like 120 or 130. I thought it was only 100. I forget what it put. We're up to about $610 out of that $1,000 goal. So we are very quickly marching towards that new HD fancy ass camera, so we can go to 4K streaming on these streams, and we can take that in the boat. That'll help the videos, and everything just gets better. One last bonus thought for those that didn't catch anything I posted in my stories: the regular videos that I always did for all these years before the stream started return Friday. So be on the lookout for that. I got a short video done. Fall transition fishing, so we're looking pretty damn good moving forward here. And Andrew's getting.
I'm editing my first cast to catch.
Yep. And first thing he says when he gets to my house, dude, that video editing software is fucking hard.
It is.
That shit is hard.
I was on it for like
That's
3.5
hard.
hours, and I still am like, I don't know. It's tough. I gotta spend more time on it for sure.
You get it. You'll pick it up faster. Once you learn a couple of key shortcuts, it becomes instantly easier.
Right. I just gotta figure out that.
Yeah. So aside from that, Vance, we'll answer that question. Stop fishing pickle infested ponds. DJ, thanks for joining. But enough of that. Let's get into it. So again, joined by Beast Coast Fishing team member Mike Zampese. Mike, go ahead and take a few minutes here. Introduce yourself. Pimp out all your social media, the whole 9 yards.
All right. I guess I've been fishing. I first started fishing, obviously as a little kid, but tournaments in, I think 2008 was my first tournament. I actually I met a guy through someone else who makes rods, who started making me my first rods. And he was a big jig guy. He legitimately told me that jigs are like the only thing that you can throw, and this and that, just a typical old dude that's stuck in his ways, and this is the only way you can fish. So me not knowing anything, I pretty much just followed in his footsteps, and I only threw jigs, and I normally caught fish. Anytime I was with him, I caught fish, and it was just immediate confidence. Immediately I felt like if I throw this anywhere, I'll always catch one. Or, everyone has their own bait. Mine just happens to be a jig. So that's my little background on how I started fishing jigs and just fishing in general, period. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, jigs are a huge part of all our lives. Pretty much how we started, really. Same thing. When I first started fishing, he had me on. When I first started bass fishing was with him, and he got me into jigs. And same thing. I just haven't stopped. Been using them ever since that day. I will never go fishing without them.
And you can fish them all year long, from when the ice melts to when the ice is coming. It doesn't matter. There's more than one kind of jig, and everyone serves a purpose.
Fish them through the ice.
Go ahead, keep on carrying that. I'm just trying to post this to the story so that other people can repost it.
You went fishing this past weekend?
I did go fishing this past weekend. I had a tournament Saturday, Sunday. Didn't do too great in either one of them, but that's the name of the game. I guess what I could have done differently is a lot of times, 100% of the time, I throw only a half-ounce jig. Like, if it's a flipping jig, I only throw half-ounce. I don't throw any other size. I don't even think I own another size besides half-ounce. I only throw half-ounce. If I go lighter, I throw a Texas rig. That's what I have a Texas rig for. So I guess what I should have done is threw a Texas rig because they were a little funky. But, like before I said, you get stuck in a way and you get stuck to doing something you're confident in. And that's what I did.
Nice. Well, it's funny that you say that about the half ounce versus 3/8 because for years I only fished 3/8 or half ounce and football jig. I didn't care to know anything else because I made that work. And from there, I just played with my trailers or colors, but that was it. And then, like, probably 6 or 7 years ago, I had, like, a really tough go for a couple months. And someone asked, like, okay, well, what size jig are you throwing? That's easy. It's the half ounce. Like, why not 3/8? I don't know. Never thought about it. It's like, well, try throwing a 3/8. Sometimes they want something just a little bit slower, and then change up your profile a little bit, too, to something a little more shorter. But so you still get that bulky profile, but a slightly slower fall rate and shorter overall length. And that worked with mint. So depending on, most of the time I still default to a half ounce, but I do have 3/8 ounce for if I just feel like it's going a little too slow. But same deal as you, I have a Texas rig tied on as well. But if I'm not getting bent on either one, that's when I usually fall backwards to the 3/8 ounce. But otherwise, I'm on half ounce all day long.
Yeah.
Looking at chat, Ronald, I do not fish Massachusetts a lot, but I do fish down there every once in a while. That's usually like really early and really late in the year, more than anything because the traffic getting down all the spots I know is horrific.
Yeah.
In season.
It's not fun.
No, and there's just too many good spots around us anyway, and especially going the opposite direction, north. So that's like my super late end of the year kind of fishing territory where I'm trying to extend my season, but everything else up here is iced in.
Joe said 3/8 on tidal water. Yeah, well, tidal water is different because fish are used to seeing something at a certain speed. I guess that'd be a one time where I would like dumb down my jig, but tidal water is very different than just regular lake fishing.
Right.
It's changing every couple minutes.
Real quick, we're going to take a moment here. So there's a number of different ways that people can donate to the stream. You can do it directly to YouTube, which is great. It's easy. They do take a pretty significant cut. I think we only get like 60% of what's donated. Otherwise, you can go directly to PayPal or Venmo down in the video description below. And with that said, a huge thank you to David Richardson. Just donated $25 to the stream. So, again, thank you very much, Dave, dude. That's hugely helpful. What was I going to say? Something about... Oh, well, so we talked a little bit. Mike started touching briefly upon how the weekend went. So let's do our weekend report. So Andrew and I went to Vermont.
It was fun.
We kind of killed it. I mean, it was slow. We didn't catch a ton of fish, but they were the right ones. Especially in a lake we never been to.
Yep.
A little different, though. We kind of technically had a guide, quote-unquote guide. The guy, he knew it. Like, he just at least knew, okay, I know where all this stuff is. And, like, these two spots are my money spots.
Technically putting us right on top of fish.
Yeah, but we still had to figure everything out. Just because you know where the more definitely knowing the more productive spots is hugely helpful.
Right.
But it was a slow day. We had to work our way around before we kind of figured out what the magic number was. Mm-hmm. And you figured it out more than anybody else.
Wow, I was literally fishing it the same way.
There was something that you were doing something different. I don't know if it's just your tempo or what, but jigs, like literally almost every single fish we caught, I would say.
Every fish I caught was on a jig.
You caught like 13 or 14. I caught 6, I think. And I forget how many Robbie caught. I think Robbie caught 3 or 4. and only one of those fish did not get caught on a jig. The biggest of the one came on a stupid Senko.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh,
kinda
that
hate-
was a good fish.
It was good. It was 4 pounds, 14 ounces. But so it's a cool spot. It's kind of like just I want to be careful what I say because I don't want to be too descriptive. You guys know us. We don't like to give away spots and blow anything up. But it was a pretty good sized lake and a lot of vegetation, and the vegetation varied in depth. You know, you could find stuff relatively shallow, like 3 to 8, 9
I'd say
feet.
it went from like 3 to 8 feet and then it stopped,
Yeah,
and then there was more grass down to like 15 to 20.
yeah, 15. I think 23 is the deepest we found it.
Yeah.
And
Somewhere around there.
we caught the bulk of them on that deeper grass, but the rest of them were on the outside edge of that shallower grass. It goes back to everything we talked about last weekend, right? During that show, that fall transition, and maybe it was the weekend before that. But you know, being flexible at this time of the year, the water temps are falling, but they're not consistent yet. So it's a little bit harder to really kind of figure out where they want to be. Some fish are different than others. You know, it's kind of like it's no different than anything else, right? Like just some prefer a little bit different water temps than others. And we found the whole range of sizes. We caught a couple of big ones and smaller ones out deep. We caught a couple of big ones and smaller ones up really shallow. It just, they were all over the place, but they were like half of them were very clearly up shallow and the other half were very clearly out deep. You know, like there was nothing between 6 and 18 feet. It was either 20 plus or 6 and less.
Yeah.
For almost every single fish,
Smallies are up shallow.
which was
Which I
mind-boggling.
kind of thought was going
No, that's where they should be. They should definitely be up shallow right now.
like a foot of water. I caught one out of a foot of water.
You should catch them out of foot of water right now.
Awesome. I just saw this lighter spot. It was like grass, and there was like a little tiny patch of sand, and I was like, we'll see. It was like a 50 or 60 foot cast. Right on it. As soon as it hit the water, nailed it. Oh, it was fun.
Yep, that's definitely how the St. Lawrence was for me 2 weeks ago.
Nice. Whoa. Jesus. Okay. Let's back up a little bit.
Oh.
We got 4 donations.
What the fuck?
I have no idea. Guys, I'm sorry. My phone's blowing up, so I can't keep up with like the order these came through. So I'm just gonna go through in the ways I can read them. Gordy, dude, thank you. That's $50 donation from you.
What?
Joe, awesome, dude. Thank you. It was $20 from Joe. I missed another one. I think. Hang on, I just had it. Mark.
Stop being cheap, Joe.
Also, Joe said, "Oh no, you kicked the fucking camera."
I kicked the fan.
Oh, you didn't. I thought you kicked the camera. Oh, you kicked the camera. No. Sit down. I got it.
That's my bad. That's my bad.
There we go. Joe said, "Here's $20. What's it for being freaking A1?" Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
And then, oh crap, there's somebody else. I didn't want to miss it. Joe and Gordy, and we got David, and oh god, no, I can't see. There's too many notifications. I don't know who sent what.
Thanks for all your money.
Yeah, seriously, guys, thank you. That's
Thanks
I'm
for
gonna
all
have to
your money,
go-
he says.
back through and like verify everything that we got because now I don't even know where 2040 is 90, and then what is today? I don't even know. What was the other one? 115 bucks. Wow.
That was quick.
That was
you.
Jesus. You guys are amazing. Thank you. I don't know what else to say. That's mind blowing.
The camera by next week.
Yeah, seriously, the rate we're going, that's crazy. So I don't know. I think we kind of covered that was the gist of it, right? For our weekend trip, like we just practiced what we preached. We were looking everywhere, and we got up really shallow. At one point, it got kind of slow, and we covered our bases. All right, screw it. The sun's been up. The wind died down. You know, maybe they're cruising up like in that thicker vegetation, some hard structure, docks.
Chased by a pike.
Yeah. So we went up, we checked there, and we saw a couple fish, but they were super skittish. You caught that one smallie.
Yep.
We went out wicked deep. We went out to the middle. We were checking 35 feet of water. There was just, we were marking fish, but it seemed to be more perch and
Nothing out there.
other than bait.
Yeah.
But we couldn't catch anything in around it. So all right, we go back to that same depth that we were working. See if we maybe find a different patch of grass we missed. But we were thorough. We covered that whole lake, and we just kind of kept rotating.
We went around it twice.
Yeah, we rotated like those top 5 spots, and it was slow, but it was methodical. Once we locked in like that color combo, which was, well, actually, you have, it's the wrong jig, but it's the right color. It's the Beast Coast. It's the just straight green pumpkin. And then another one from Beast Coast, which is the Texas Craw, I think that one's called. It's like green and black and brown. And then a green and orange trailer was absolutely key again.
Yep.
For the like 8th straight week in a row.
If you go on my Instagram and you see the last picture of the last post I made, you'll see the jig that I was using and the same color trailer.
Yep. And you were doing half-ounce football.
Yep.
But for a little bit, we were both fishing half-ounce little Magnum.
Mm-hmm.
And that was great because
then I caught a dock.
then you caught a dock and we lost that one. And I knew I should have ordered like 30 of these things when he first dropped them because we went through them kind of fast. And now he's completely out of stock, so you can't get them. So, wow, Jesus Christ, we missed a lot in that chat. I gotta back up a second here.
TJ said, and you did tell me, he was saying we went up north, we went out to Vermont. We did tell him, and he asked if it was one of the lakes that we were fishing in October.
Oh, no,
it's not.
No, if I was going to one of those places, I would have told you. Not telling you, I'd just come. Well, we didn't even know where the hell we were going until like 8 o'clock Saturday night. So
yeah,
I apologize.
Kind of all over the place.
Yeah, well, we were supposed to go to Champlain. There's 6 freaking tournaments.
And then we're looking at Maine. I found a pond in Maine I want to go to. And then we're just like, well, we're going to go to this place.
Grant 84. I threw the Maxfield and on Oneida. I didn't have any snipers with me. They didn't come in time. I threw a Maxfield instead.
That's what I was using. Maxfield.
Yeah. The Maxfield's their football jig. Yep.
Yeah.
John, Big John Sebastian. Hey, buddy. Thanks for joining us. It's okay you're late. Fishing mode. Talons have made a huge difference in my fishing this year. By far, put more fish in my boat. By far, no doubt. That's awesome. I will eventually get those, but I got an active target. That's first. I'm gonna make that happen. Mike, was there anything else you wanted to elaborate for what you were doing for fishing this weekend? This past weekend, for like what you found did work or didn't work before we rolled like deep into the jig discussion?
I found very similar to what you said. I mean, they're definitely heavy in the transition into the fall transition. So, I mean, they should be on the harder cover, but not like the big pieces, like the little isolated pieces. And I think that a lot of the fish are just still moving in between. So I wasn't able to find them, like you said, in that in between. I can only find the little fish shallow and some fish a little bit deeper. But deep to me is like 10 to 12 feet. Like anything past that, and I'm lost. So, yeah.
We can get you fishing deep.
Yeah, I don't know. That's,
Like real
that's a little
deep.
much.
Well, it's funny because there was 2 guys I know that are also subscribers on the channel, and I met them on Winnie last Friday when I was out scouting some new water for my high school team. They have their tournament tomorrow, and these guys have like, especially Alan, he's always been like a super shallow water guy. Like he likes jigs and spinnerbaits and stuff, but he's like, dude, if you get me more than 10 feet deep, I get a nosebleed. And I had him out there. I was out in his boat last year helping him get everything set up, like showing him what I know about reading new graph, like dialing it in and everything. And I had him plucking fish in 35 feet of water on a drop shot. So, like, he's getting there. He's putting in the time. He's getting comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually had to go way out of my comfort zone for 1,000 Islands. I think I was in like 18 to like 30. And like, I felt like I've never seen so much screen on my fish finder. Usually I'm looking at this and it's all distorted, and I'm looking at like this much water column now. It's just so different.
Dude, I love going up there, even though the first 2 times we went, we kind of got our teeth kicked in. I went up for a day and a half last month. No, 2 months ago, the end of July, and finally kind of got some redemption there. But last year, our best success was dragging a drop shot at 65 feet of water. Mm-hmm. We actually got some really good fish doing that.
Yep.
Yeah, 65 feet. I better be in an ocean boat if I'm fishing 65 feet of water.
So, all right, well, let's dive into it a little bit harder here. We got a lot of questions in the chat. I'm going to turn the first one over to you, Mike, so we'll start with casting north. I don't fish jigs.
Right.
I don't fish jigs a lot, but do you find that color is crucial for certain times of the year? Maybe it has something to do with the color of the craw at that point or the color of the forage. That is a fantastic starter question.
Yep.
Go ahead, Mike. I'll let you answer that first.
Realistically, for me, I'm very simple. Black, green pumpkin, black and blue. Very, very, very simple.
Help me out here. What
Do I think it matters? Sometimes, yes, but I mean, I guess that's what they have trailers for. So a lot of times, like if I feel they're eating something that's a certain color, I'll just throw my black jig. and then I'll just match the trailer to whatever color I think is what's working.
So it's funny you say that about your color choices: black, green pumpkin, black, and blue. That's literally all I have out in the desk for colors, because that's what I have only thrown for years until 2 years ago. And I started working in a variety of different jig colors specifically for that reason. I started getting much more dialed in into just the slight variations that crawfish go through throughout the season. And I know a jig can literally kind of mimic anything, right? But I really like honing in on crawfish feeding bass. So that's pretty much everything that I throw is to imitate crawfish colors. And those bastards change colors like crazy up here.
Yeah, quick.
But it's anywhere from black to straight green pumpkin and everything in between.
From black to red.
To red, right? Yeah, that's true. So like, I mean, if anybody saw the thumbnail for the stream, that was most but not all of the colors. It's actually a very specific color, the one I sent you a text of, Andrew, that I refuse to absolutely show, because that has been a recent thing that we discovered that has been dynamite. But I don't know, for me, yes.
I bet you it's purple.
There's something about purple. I literally throw nothing with purple in it, and I know I should, but I've got this like insane mental block about throwing purple. I don't know what it is. It feels wrong every time I have it tied on.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I feel the same way.
I don't know why.
It's like throwing white. Just don't feel comfortable throwing white. I know people do. I just don't feel comfortable doing it. So I won't.
I should throw more purple. I to my credit, I do have a couple of jigs of purple, and I even bought 2 spinnerbaits that had purple in them this year. Didn't catch a goddamn thing on them, but at least I bought them and I tried throwing them.
I'll throw purple. I won't throw white.
I mean, there's no reason. Mike, I'm curious your thought on this, and I don't want to go too far off the path because there's a lot in the chat that I want to get caught up on here. But where do you find that purple is best? Like, what conditions are you like, fuck yeah, I'm throwing purple?
It's not so much as I throw like a straight purple. Like I really like the green pumpkin purple, like the Nurple from like Beast Coast, or their other one, the toxic bug.
Yep.
Ooh,
Yeah.
So like
yeah, I would throw that.
I feel I throw that like if it's like kind of over, like really windy or overcast, but only on the football jig. I don't ever flip like a purple jig. It's only for the football jig, and it's only for usually the springtime. Like that's like my springtime confidence color. I couldn't give you an honest answer on why I do it. I guess it just works for me, and that's just something that I find a lot of confidence in.
When would you switch from the purple, from that peanut butter to whatever the hell it is, to another color?
Think I lost your audio?
No, Andrew does
No,
not want to speak up.
Can you hear me?
I hear. Yeah, I hear you.
When would you switch from like the PB&J to something else? Like what? Temp or any condition?
I guess
change?
like in the spring, like I said, that's when I throw purple. That's pretty much the only time I throw purple is in the spring. And if I'm not getting bid on it, I usually I'll go to like black, because realistically, well, I'm not as north as you guys, so the water's not really as clear. But in 25 feet of water, it's black.
Right.
I mean, what do you see in 25 feet of water?
Nothing.
I don't. So I don't really think when you're that deep, they can really see color. And they say in dirty water, which is black, you want to throw a dark color because they see the shades.
Right.
So that's when I'll go to a darker color rather than a lighter color.
I mean, you can get away with black and clear water too.
Yeah, I actually threw only black on the St. Lawrence. That's what I threw, was straight black.
Yep. Damn, I would like to throw black up there.
Oh yeah,
It's a good idea.
black hair jig kills up there.
Oh yeah,
Which? Yeah, I gotta go. Before we go further, I gotta back this up again. Jesus Christ, guys, you're killing me. John, $100 donation.
Yeah, what
Dude,
the hell?
stop it. I mean, keep going. No, thank you. Fucking Jesus Christ, I don't. Ben Bradley, another $25 too. So
Was that from your wife to come to me anyway?
Inappropriate. I don't even know what to say. I mean, I think that puts us.
Thank you, John. And everybody else.
Quick math, we're like at $240 already on the stream. That's by far the best we've ever done for the show, which is amazing. So that puts us at $750 towards our $1,000 goal. And I said before, like $1,000 just gets the body of the camera. I'll get the rest after that. I need a aluminum cage to mount this thing in to help with dissipating heat so it doesn't overheat on us. For continuous use, battery eliminator cable, couple other things. But this is unreal, guys. Thank you so much. There was another question there. Oh, Vance Negrado wants to know, Mike, how many bruised crawl little magnums you got?
I don't think I can disclose that, but I have enough for, I think, everyone watching this stream and everyone that's watched your stream in all previous streams.
Dude, how many do you think I have? 20?
No.
I've got a lot. Like, I try not to keep too many on hand, but those bruised little magnums, not little, oh no, I'm thinking the Hustler. The bruised little magnums, I've got a couple, but I'm thinking the Hustler. The Hustler, I've got like 20, maybe a little more, but I've got like all three sizes. That thing has been friggin' lights out in cold water.
Funny story about Vance. I actually met him. He lived by me, young kid, big into like swim baits or whatever, and he never ever fished a jig. So I took him out on my boat, and I caught him. I didn't catch him. I gave him a jig, and he caught his first jig fish. And the first time he got his bite, it thumped it out of his hand, and he like looked at me with like this look of like just straight like happiness, like, oh, that was so awesome, that was crazy, like he was just so ecstatic about it. And then the fish, I said, just drop it, like drop it back, because the first time he set the hook, because that's what you do. I said, next time it does it, just after he slams it, if he doesn't get it, just let it fall again. And he did that, and he ended up catching his first jig fish. And now he got a whole jig set up, and he's constantly sending me pictures of catching fish on a jig, and he says it's his favorite thing to do. So it's pretty awesome.
That's friggin' awesome. It's funny I keep elaborating on things you keep saying. He missed it, drop it. My biggest fish of the year so far was 5 pounds 9 ounces a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Same deal. Like on the freaking initial drop, I thought I saw my line jump, and I felt it, and I was getting ready to go lean, but I didn't feel like he really had it. So a little like peck. And as soon as I put a little tension on it, he spit it. And I was like, I just dropped my line. I look at Andrew, I'm like, god damn, I missed it. But I kept it there for a second, and it was maybe 3 seconds later, thunk, and he hit it again. It was that open water sniper, and friggin' top dead center pinned him.
Yep.
But just killing it and let him come back to it worked great. Wow, we got to back way up. Who the hell is here? We got obviously Vance, Samatus, Jamie. Thanks for joining us, buddy. Alpha Bass. Tough to get any Beast Coast half-ounce jigs. You're not wrong there. Bubba Bass, hey buddy, and Ben, Carl. Oh my God, there's tons of people. Match the hatch, yeah, black. Jamie, black jigs. Did I mention black?
Did I mention black?
And then fishing mode, black and green pumpkin. That's it. 2 colors of jigs. That's all I keep stock of. Once in a while, red black. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could fish the entire season ice out to ice in with just straight black and straight green pumpkin if you wanted to keep it really, really simple. Both of those in half-ounce, and that's all you need. You really don't need it.
That's the best advice. If anyone really isn't into jig fishing yet, but they want to get into jig fishing, just keep it simple. I mean, you can always change your trailer. It's a lot cheaper to change your trailer than buy 67 different jig colors, and you're going to find what works for you. I mean, you have your favorite colors that you like to throw. I have my favorite colors that they just happen to be the same. But if we ask 10 other people, I bet you 5 of them are totally different than us.
Probably.
So.
What do we got? Oh, Vance said, did I mention Stealth Craw? Little red, black, brown with a matching trailer knocks it dead for me. I like that color combo. That sounds good. Ray Fishing said, Mikey Zamp, another Jersey hammer that goes under the radar. Not for long.
Yeah, I'm trying, bro.
Yep. And then Joe, Black and Perp, love the Midnight Special. Maybe it's because I'm not a jig guy. Yeah. Gotta get.
Yeah, Joe's not a jig guy. He likes like 2.5 pound test on like a 4-foot spinning pole with the 7,000 series spinning reel and stuff like that.
Alpha Bass, Alpha Bass Fishing asked, y'all ever throw a bucktail jig? Mike, do you throw much bucktail or hair jigs in general?
Hair jigs, I tried to get into it. I have, if not any confidence in a hair jig. I did learn a little bit this year fishing it from some people. Joe is actually one of them. I'm not going to disclose what I learned, but I'll leave it there. But I have, yes. I've started to get into fishing a hair jig a little bit more, and I've started to gain confidence in it.
There you go. We don't. I mean, the closest we get, where is it? Oh, yeah, is the Hustler from Beast Coast. It's that hybrid finesse, where it has a little bit of marabou hair with like a finesse skirt. That's closest I get to a hair jig. I have a bunch. I bought just like straight black. Actually, I bought all 3 colors. I bought straight black, black and blue, and then black and brown, and all like super light stuff, like 3/32 ounce, and I think the heaviest I have is 1/4 ounce. And I started to try and mess around with it, but just kind of lacking the confidence really like what I should be doing with it. But a lot of what I'm learning with just jigs in general and just allowing to trust myself in my process, I'm feeling a lot better this year, especially next spring, like right after ice out, with using those hair jigs. And I've got a couple other colors in mind, not just like keeping it, super vanilla with the straight black. I've got some more. Well, I'm not going to say anything other. I've got different things in mind that I've got much more confidence in that, other techniques that aren't too far off and things that we've been doing in, like 35-degree water. Like I'm feeling a lot better this year. I think my hair jig game is going to be a lot better. So I don't throw it. You don't throw it. Not yet.
I will.
But
Sure.
I think this year is going to be a different story for us. Jesus Christ, we were way behind the chat. Sorry, guys. We're trying to get caught up. Who had... Oh, there you go. I'll let you read that one.
Joe, Mike, how do you know a dock is good before making a cast? 360 posts, etc. Oh, height, etc. What gets you pumped to make a flip or skip at one?
All right. So I have an answer in my head that is kind of like something that really works for me, but I can't tell you all of it. But I can tell you that I like wooden docks, and they're normally it's either one that is very spaced out between all the others, or one that has the littlest or the least amount of clearance from water to dock, because most people won't be able to skip under it, even a Senko, because they'll skip it up the dock or whatever. I like to fish the hardest docks that I possibly could fish, because I know, 1, they don't get fished, and 2, they don't get fished properly.
Right. Well, took the words right out of my mouth.
I like docks with a lot of ropes on them. Like, a lot of people won't cast into the ropes. Like, I'll cast through everything. I'll worry about getting the fish out once I hook it, but you ain't ever gonna hook it if you don't make the cast at it.
Pretty much.
Bingo. When I was a wee little lad, many a year ago, the only time I fished was with my dad and I call him my Uncle Billy. He's always been my Uncle Billy, but truth be told, he's my dad's best friend. They're best friends years before I was a twinkle in my daddy's eye. And we shut up. And I started getting to that point of like, okay, I'm tired of throwing at the outside of structure like you guys do all the time. I started throwing in. My uncle would be like, why are you doing that? How are you gonna get that fish out? Like, let me worry about catching the fish first, then I'll figure out how I'm gonna get them out. There,
Yep.
You got to get in there. That's where the big stick comes in.
They're not dumb. They know. They know they're safe for the most part when they get real into the thick of this stuff.
Yeah. Hammer Time said, I've talked to a bunch of people who won't go black and blue until it's chocolate milk. I won't say that I wait until it's that stained, but for me, my comfort zone for black and blue is once water clarity is like 3 feet or less, sometimes even like 4 or 5 feet or less even, depending upon what that bottom composition is. That's kind of where I start getting away from the green pumpkin and brown and go towards black and blue. You like to throw it a little bit more in clearer water, Andrew.
Yeah, I do.
So
It works.
my response to that would be, as we were just talking about, like St. Lawrence River, crystal clear, 30 feet down in the water you could see, but everyone most people are throwing black or dark green pumpkin. So realistically, I don't think it matters. It's where your confidence is. Like if a bunch of people can tell me that I have to throw this jig and hook it on the hook instead of the line tie because that's what everyone says. If you know what I'm saying, it's all about what you feel comfortable doing, and if you're generating bites off a certain color and whatever watercolor it is, that should be all that matters.
Yep, wholeheartedly agree. Confidence is the biggest thing. I mean, you know, like I can't in good conscience recommend purple anything to anybody because I don't have any freaking confidence in the damn thing, you know. But like, I'll go out and I'll throw some kind of bonkers sized jigs at times, and people look at me like I'm retarded. But there's a very specific reason about that with bottom comp. Like, yeah, it looks big here in my hand, but by the time it actually settles down the bottom, there ain't much left to see, and that's why it gets bit.
Yeah.
So confidence is everything.
Right.
Confidence is 100% everything.
Yeah. Dog Swampy. T-rigged creature has been a massive confidence bait for me for a few years. Finally built some confidence in a jig the last few years. Sometimes a jig will catch them when a creature won't. Absolutely. I love, like, if we're on a good jig bite, I also have a T-rig tied on because it depending on the time of the year, like basically I would say right around the spawn, maybe a little bit before, depending on like what kind of veggies I can find. That's kind of when the T-rig really starts coming to play. No, I would say definitively in pre-spawn. Sometimes that skirt, to me, is the difference maker. The overall bulk of that profile. Not the length, not the colors or anything, but just that bulk. What the skirt gives, or the lack of a skirt, you know, like just that overall bulk in the profile is huge. And if I can't get bit on a jig, usually I flip over to Texas rig, and you can fish it still just wide open water, and you get bit all day. And then other times where, you know, you're going through and pitching some beautiful looking grass to the T-rig, and, you know, it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, but they're just not hitting it. The moment you throw in a jig, you know, just anything skirted, it's just like freaking flipping a switch, and they start feasting on it.
It all depends. It all depends on what they want.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been days I go out, throw a jig, and I don't get anything. I've been skunked when I throw it, sometimes throwing a jig all day.
Yep.
And then you switch to something different, they start hitting it. But I'll always start with a jig. Always. Every single day. Always.
That's right. Amen.
Yep. I'm going to go out of order here in the chat. Jamie at Samatas Baits said, I fished a 3/4 ounce jig with our 7-inch slobster trimmed down. It's a big meal. So I still have one of those kicking around from the expo from 2019, Jamie. And then my kids commandeered it. They took it out of my tackle box. So I was actually, when I was cleaning up the house earlier, I came across it, and it is that green pumpkin and orange, like laminate. And I was looking at it like, I should buy a bag of those because that thing would probably get chomped. And I can think of a few places where it would perfectly match the hatch for what's available. Work email, get out of here. But so Grat84 asks, and I'll let you grab this first, Mike. He said, do you think weather conditions play more than watercolor when it comes to jigs?
I think that's 100%. 100% that weather conditions play more than the watercolor, regardless what you're throwing. I think that's 100% more important, the condition rather than the watercolor.
They always live in the same water, so it doesn't matter to them.
Right.
They're always living in the same pond. It's not like they travel from pond to pond, from clear lake to mud water. They're always living in either that mud water or they're living in clear lake.
Right.
So as long as the weather's changing, that's what's making them bite.
That's agreed.
Yeah. Oh, Mike.
The weather is the biggest factor. Yes.
Yep. Sorry, I was reading your comment. I meant to say, Vance said he's been throwing the big weight baits for like an hour and a half with nothing to show. They all starting to make me wish I had brought my jig rod. And I am in 1,000% agreement with what Daniel Fleck said. Never leave home without your jig rod.
Ever. Never, ever. It should always be there.
I'm curious. Or your yeah, shut up. We went fishing recently, and I recently had another custom rod built from Wicked Custom Rods, and it's my pride and joy, my drop shot rod. The thing is friggin' unreal. and we were going to the pond, and I forget what the conversation was, but I was like, oh yeah, I bet you a drop shot to play. I'm gonna go back in the house and get it. It was like that.
No, I came and I was like, you better bring drop shot rod.
Yeah.
Where we're going.
And I was like, all right, I'll go get it. I went to my house to get it and say goodbye to the family, and I didn't realize I walked back out of the house without it until we got to the lake. And he proceeded to catch like 12 friggin' fish before I had my first fish on the drop shot. just how it goes. Well, you know what? That's actually a great point to turn the conversation a little bit. First, I was about to say that before I saw Dale's comment. Dale asked, lightest weight jigs you use or suggest. Mike, I'll let you go first. I know you already said half ounce, but I'm curious to see if there's maybe a time where you're really not going to throw a half ounce.
Like Joe had made the comment earlier, I don't fish a lot of tidal water. I don't have a lot of experience on tidal water, but I have been to quite a few. I only live like an hour from the Hudson River, so I do try to get up there when I can, just because it's good to know how to fish tidal water, because there's always one in the opens, and it's just. But anyways, I felt like the quarter ounce 3/8 was so much better in the tidal water. That's the only time I would ever throw anything less than a half ounce, just for the sole purpose of the current just naturally taking that jig along, you know?
Yep, I buy that.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Oh boy, we're all over the place. We literally throw it all. But I think the lightest that we like would consistently throw for light would be quarter ounce.
Or, yeah.
The hustle.
I don't really ever go, yeah, true.
What does that look like, a quarter ounce?
As far
Is that like a pebble?
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's pretty small, especially when you talking tungsten, versus lead, or like a tin bismuth combo. It is pretty damn tiny. But that's 3/8. What I like about when it comes to different weights on my jigs, I will go on two. You kicked the fucking mic again.
This thing's going over here.
All right.
Jeez.
I like how you both get up to fix it.
He was moving the fan that he kicked again.
That's my
I'm
bad.
fixing the camera.
That's my bad.
All right. Anyway, when it comes to colder water, I go really, really low or really friggin' heavy. I live with quarter ounce in one hand and 3/4 ounce in the other, and it depends on what we're doing. Like if I'm dragging crazy deep water, I want to ensure I have bottom contact, so I'm sticking with 3/4 ounce. But on the light side of things, even if I'm fishing deeper water when it's like ultra cold, one of the things I learned last year is really lightening it up, like even 1/8 ounce at times, is really, really good, because they'll watch that bait fall from a mile of friggin' way, and especially if you're at least in the vicinity. Like, there was a lake we fished last year where we were working some just absolutely juicy offshore structure, and 35 feet, and water temp was where we went with Derek. It was like 38 degrees, I think, even when we were there. And we were sticking to what we'd been working everywhere else, that heavyweight. And then the next trip we went back, I forget who I was talking to. He's like, go like ultra light. We went to 1/8 ounce. And we know that the fish are in that structure we were targeting, but with that 3/4 ounce, the thing freaking bombs all the way down. So if they're only like, within a reasonable range, they're gonna see it, but they're not gonna be like, oh Jesus Christ, that thing's gone. I'm not gonna move for
Just
it.
like, go.
But
I ain't gonna go for that.
Right, but that lighter weight, like 1/8 ounce, quarter ounce, gives them like plenty of time to see it fall, and
Hey, bud,
it seems like
it should eat it.
yeah, pretty much. Like it just gives them time to kind of like think about it when they're colder water to react at the kind of the same rate that it's falling. It's like that's the deep water aspect of why I would go lighter. Now the other aspect is like some of these kettle ponds we fish down in Mass, like end of the year and first of the year, or first of the season, we'll put it. I'll go quarter ounce because I still like fishing in the rocks. That's like the most, rocks and steep banks when the water's really cold has always just been extremely good for me. Isolated boulders at the bottom of steep banks, always good. We get that jig hung up on it a little bit. Sometimes it gets hung and you pop it off. With a quarter ounce, it's not going to take much to really get it to pop free, so it's not going to shoot up too hard. But then more than anything, even if it does, it's got that slow fall. So if there's a fish in the area, again, Colder water, more lethargic. In my opinion, gives them that more time to see it and react to it. So that's where the lighter weight really becomes key for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, I agree with that. Cold in the super cold, like you said, and then low in the low to mid 30s. But then again, I would probably throw. That's when I would throw something other than a jig. But I would throw that quarter ounce hustler.
Yeah, dude, that thing is a cold water killer. I mean, it thing works all freaking year long, but especially
It's going to be just like the new ones, the new snipers, the hybrid snipers that he made.
How many of those did you buy? Because I bought 20.
You probably got more than me because that's not really my forte, but I'm trying to accommodate that into something. East Coast, they also have something else in the works. Can't really talk about it, but I mean, it goes along this subject, and I think the boys will like it.
Good. That's what I like to hear. The I gotta say that new hybrid for the open water sniper with a little bit of hair. We learned a couple of things last year with fishing small but bulky profile stuff. That perfectly plays into what we learned last year, and I honestly think we're gonna have a better fall this year than we did last year. We kind of killed it last year.
Yeah.
We had our best bag, all smallmouth, was 23 and change.
3 3/4.
Yeah, and that was in November.
Yep.
Or was that December?
Might have been December.
That was like, yeah, and the water.
I remember we were
41
coming
degrees.
home and we stopped at the gas station and there was all those hot ski moms.
Oh yeah, that was funny. We're driving through a freaking ski town, and yeah, all the hot ski moms out there in their ski outfits, and they're just coming off the mountain. They're looking at us retarded because we're driving around our bass boat.
And boats.
Right? Yeah. When we were a freaking hour north of those people too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that all the time. People are always looking at me. I'm like driving my boat through the ice, like just crashing right through, and people are just like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
I want to catch jigfish. Leave me alone.
Right. Dong Swampy, what are the less ideal times of the year to throw a jig? Mike, I'm gonna let you go first on that one.
My answer is never. Like I said, from when the ice melts to when the ice comes, I'll always have one on. And regardless if I throw it 100 casts or 5 million casts or no casts, it'll be there.
Yep.
It will be there.
Yep. Always.
I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, fish in the winter, they sit on the structure, they sit on the bottom. Sometimes I've even seen them buried in the mud with just like half of their nose sticking out of the water. Like, the only thing that's going to get down there and stay constantly on the bottom is something like a football jig, where it's going to drag right across their face. And if it just gets that little bit of trigger, it's going to get you that bite.
Right.
To see a smallmouth buried in the mud like that, that'd be cool.
Well, we've heard about it. Like, there's a couple of ponds down in Mass that I know that guys do really, really well at. And, starting kind of like the beginning of December into January. And then again, especially like in February. And I've heard that from multiple people where they'll be pulling up smallmouth that literally have friggin'
mud stuck to their bellies.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but I believe it. Like, that's crazy. You just happen to get your jig or your blade bait right in front of their nose. They don't gotta. I mean, they kind of can't move. They're kind of buried anyway. Like, oh yeah, that's easy. Yeah.
Yep.
Imagine if that could actually make sound. Like you hear like as they're getting sucked out of the mud and you set the hook.
I got a fucking giant. It's like, oh no, I'm just kidding.
Oh, this is a great question. And actually, Andrew, I'm going to let you answer it first. But Grat84 asked, can you touch on trimming a skirt? Do you trim different for smallmouth versus largemouth, or water temp, flipping, dragging, swimming, etc.? Do you trim your skirts?
I don't.
I do not. Mike?
I mean, I guess you could if you had like a skirt that was like crazy giant, like super long and meant for trimming.
I trim my skirts.
You do?
Yeah, I don't have any in front of me because I only have what was in my room. But normally what I like to do, like I said, this all goes along the same thing. We live in the north, super pressured, lakes aren't big, they see 1,000 baits all the time. I try to make my stuff as small as possible but still have what it needs. So like even like the little Magnum, I usually trim them, like I'll put everything down flat right on the below the hook, and I'll just cut it straight below the hook. Like, I don't know if you can see that, but I'll just leave it right below the hook. I usually do that on 90% of my jigs. I always do that. It's just something I've always done.
It's just a little bit more. I mean, a little less. Sorry, not more hook.
Yeah, like I trim it right to the bottom.
To the bottom of the hook.
Right. So the goal, I'm assuming behind that, is to you still get the bulk of the profile that the skirt provides. I see what you're talking about, but now it's a bit shorter. It's more in line with the size of the forage that we have around here. Right?
Yes, that's why I would do that. But I mean, if I was going somewhere like Texas or Florida, I'd probably put another skirt over top of the skirt that's already on my jig, because everything is bigger in Texas, or however you want to say it. But that's just, for me and where we live, I feel that that's what works best for me.
Yep. I've never once trimmed a single skirt on any of my jigs. I like the way they come out. If I feel like, especially now, I mean, I've got, 3 Plano 3700 boxes dedicated just to jigs, and then I've got, what's the smaller Plano box? Because I've got 2 more of those full too.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have one dedicated just to hustlers. I've got one now dedicated just to the little Magnum and the open water sniper. And for the record, like, I know I'm sponsored by Beast Coast, but like, there's a reason why I only throw Beast Coast. Like, he makes all the colors I could possibly want, all the right sizes, all the styles. Like, I literally have not found anything that I wanted to do that he doesn't have.
Solid jigs.
They are.
I did hear some rumors about Beast Coast with some new size jigs.
Oh, that makes me happy. There's nothing wrong with more variety, but I can tell you, what he's got right now, I'm happy with. So anything beyond this is good. But
like bigger?
I don't know. I'm just saying. I heard that some other sizes will be added to certain jigs in the lineup.
Yeah, I totally forgot my train of thought what we were talking about a second ago. Now I'm a little embarrassed. Shut up.
While you're talking about trimming skirts,
oh yeah.
I'll touch on this real quick. I also always trim my weed guards. Always.
Yep.
I see, like, I always do. I want the bait. Hold on, let me wait for me to unlag out of here. I want the weed guard just to nick the top of the hook. That's how I like my jigs. And then I take, like, usually, you can probably see, hold on, 3 or 4 layers, or 3 or 4 strands, should I say, off the top of my hook.
Dude, I literally do the exact same thing. And I absolutely feel it helps with the hookup ratio.
And it does, because, I mean, most people will be like, well, your jig gets stuck all the time, then you're always stuck. Well, then you need to learn how to fish a jig better, and that's just a realistic, honest answer.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to degrade or downplay it to anybody, but that's just, I can fish this jig over 65 stumps and not get stuck once, and you don't know how to throw a jig, you're going to get stuck with the stock weed guard. You need to know what you're feeling.
Right.
It takes years to be able to figure out how to, like, know exactly what that thing's doing under the water around the structure you're fishing.
Right.
Knowing what you're feeling is the most important thing when you're fishing a jig.
Yep. So and actually this is a good time to use the bait tank, but we've got, this is a max field, and then that is a little Magnum, so the skirt is a little bit different. I think it's a strand count more than anything. And then we've got the Hustler. So if I can do this without creating quite a mess, look at that. And this kind of goes into the, what I meant to talk about with tying skirts, when I do and when I don't. Where's that?
Smash! It's tungsten. Look how that's gonna break that glass.
That's wait, I got Hustler. What was it? Oh, where's the little Magnum? Let me see if I can do this, like, down there without. Like, son of a bitch, stand up. So for me, I gotta stand up to do this. I don't trim my skirts, I just change my jig. I try and find something with a slightly smaller skirt profile. That's not going to stand. That's kind of the downside of the little Magnum. That head really isn't meant to stand, even though it does work for going through stuff, hopefully.
No, definitely not meant to stand. I was actually going to tell you, don't even drop it in the tank if you're going to look silly.
Yeah. I was hoping I might get lucky with it, but It's leaning up against the back now. Can you hand me those paper towels, please, so I'm not getting everything soaked? So we were actually just talking about this on Sunday because we were having a good day, and like kind of early in the morning, we're both throwing that little Magnum, right? And it's a slightly smaller skirt profile, which I don't know how well you can see it in the video, but the regular Max Steel football jig from Beast Coast has got what I would call a traditional skirt, right? It's pretty long. There's a lot of strands to it. It's a bulky profile. And the little Magnum is just a little bit smaller than that for, I guess, I'm not sure if the strand count is any different off the top of my head, but it's definitely a little bit shorter on the skirt, or at least it appears to be. It's a slightly different profile. So if I can fish both those jigs the exact same way, and, you know, like our bite kind of changed, and Andrew went from the little Magnum, because he lost it, and he went to the Maxfield football, which again, I feel like has a bulkier skirt presentation, and he started doing a lot better than I did. So I switched to that, and all of a sudden I started doing a lot better. And to me, it's kind of like 6 of one, half a dozen of another, where you either trim your skirt to kind of get the same results, or you can do 2 different style jigs with different strand counts, or just they already come like pre-trimmed to a different size and length or whatever. Like, I don't know, to me, like, I'm just happy with the way they come stock. There's enough difference there that I don't have to trim it. But now you guys are making me think about more things I want to do just because I love jig fishing. So I think I might start trimming them now.
You should start trimming them. At least trim a couple. I mean, you live more north than me, so, I mean, you could definitely give it a shot.
Yeah.
We're pretty far up there.
Yeah,
Did you see in the comments that someone actually said something to what I brought up to you earlier before we went on live about fishing football jigs in the grass?
No, I'm trying to find it. I see.
It's probably so far I don't even know where it is. I'm trying to see where it is.
I completely missed it.
Right there. It's Ronald, view on football head jigs in grass. Like, right after you opened up live, probably like 25 comments down, right around there.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, wow. It was way up. No, I completely whiffed that. All right, he asked that. Oh, yeah, there it is. Ronald Yeater, view on football head jigs in grass.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally what we were doing the other day. Yes, on Sunday.
Yes.
It's like a bulldozer blowing down.
It is. You get that reaction strike, you know? I mean, that the head doesn't, like, where the little Magnum will go right through the grass, sink right to the bottom, not get caught up, where the football jig, you're making like a ruckus down there. Like, you're coming out of the grass like a gorilla. Like, you know, and them fish are like, oh, I got to eat this or I'm dead.
Yeah, like the Kool-Aid man. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything. Yeah, no, it definitely works for us. I mean, yeah, we were just doing that this past weekend, and it just, exactly that.
Too, yeah.
And sometimes, just, it's kind of the same as throwing, like, crankbait or square bill or chatterbait, when you're, like, ticking the top of the grass, and it gets hung up a little bit, and, like, that snapping it free is usually, there are plenty of days where, like, that's the thing to do when that triggers. Yep. It's just that reactionary bite. Same thing for a jig. If that football jig gets hung up a little bit, stop plowing through, just pop it out real quick. Just whoop, when it blasts out, that's enough for a bass to get triggered and eat it too.
Yep.
Straight reaction bite.
Yeah. I gotta back up a little bit. There's a question. Carl, do you ever use crawfish scent on your jigs or any other scent? Yes, I use crawfish and sometimes baitfish scent. And I'm old school. I just still use smelly jelly. And sometimes it really does make a difference. Other times, I think it's more like peace of mind.
Mental. It's mental. It's all mental.
Yeah.
It's gonna help.
I think maybe they'll hold on to it for a second longer with scent. I mean, if I'm like really having a lot of fish, pick it up, put it down. That's the only time I'll put scent on. Yep. But, I mean, I'm a Mega Strike guy. That's what I use. But that's all, once again, confidence.
Yep, I agree. There was another one. Aha! Go ahead, read that one, buddy.
What about separating the weed guard into 2 pieces?
Do you ever separate your weed guard into 2 pieces?
I never separate my weed guard into 2 pieces.
Have you ever seen anybody do it?
I've seen people do it, and I just, personally, I disagree with the whole logic behind it. Like, you're pretty much opening up the point of your hook. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Some people in here might not know what I'm talking about, but you're exposing your hook point. So talk about already trimming your weed guard down thinner and shorter, so you're already more subject to getting stuck, and now you're separating it and allowing the point to legitimately show through the weed guard. That's not for me. Definitely not for me.
So I've never done it. We have a good friend of ours, Kyle. We actually our largemouth live stream we did. When was that? Back in February, March?
Long time ago.
It was one of the, I think, in the first half dozen or so first streams that we did.
I don't know our first guest. Who was our first guest?
John, I thought. No, it doesn't matter. It was one of the first ones we did. And he does that. He used, I forget what he uses. Those I don't want to say because I don't want to blow up what he does because it works for him and that's his confidence thing. But he's a guy that we know that I never even heard about that until he brought it up when he was a guest on the show that time. And he was like, "All right, I'm gonna finally let you guys in on a thing I've always done." And like he feels the way he fishes, it gives him an advantage over like.
He knows how to jig fish too. So
Yeah, he's another jig hammer. He's another guy that he's just like us. You know, he there's a jig rod on deck all year long. He'll throw from ice out to ice in, and he'll catch fish from ice out to ice in, regardless of what the conditions are. That dude can put fish in the boat on a jig.
A lot of people, like the few people that I know that do separate their weed guards, they always say that like if you're fishing a piece of wood, like if my finger's a piece of wood, if you're fishing it like this, the bait might roll like as you're coming over it. But if you straighten them and split them, it keeps the bait square. That's what I've been told. Like it kind of squares up the bait a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
makes sense. But you're going over it so fast, though. It's like usually.
But are you always going over it so fast, or
no,
is that just how you're fishing it at that moment?
Coming up out of a tree, like you're just reeling up out of a tree.
Yeah, but
you might get it.
You know how sometimes we fish those really good laydowns we find. You dip it in behind a branch and you go down, you drape over another branch you didn't see, and you're just reeling up real slow, just trying to pop it over real gentle, like.
Yeah, right back down.
Yep.
Yep. and right back down.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, okay. No, I get that. That makes perfect sense. Ray Fishing. What's your go-to weight and setup for jig fishing grass clean? I struggle flipping grass with jigs, and that to me is key to cutting checks in these high-pressure tournaments. That's all you first, Mike.
Like I said, half ounce is my jig of choice. I throw it in grass. I'll throw it through 16 feet of bushes to hit 1 foot of water behind it. I'll throw half ounce anywhere. But I personally like a 7.4 heavy. I used to throw 7.6 medium heavy, then I went to 7.6 heavy, and then I got stuck on the 7.4, and it's just a little bit lighter. It's still got the power because I went from the medium heavy to the heavy, and it's just what I only thing I flip with really now.
That's kind of like what I want to do with my new jig when I get a new jig rod.
Yep.
Kind of. What about you? What do you like to throw? What do you throw your jig on?
I got a.
Well, you got that
7.2
G Loomis, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a 7.2.
7.2 medium heavy fast. I used to like it.
I was gonna say, but
I caught too many goddamn fish on it, and I broke its back, and now it just feels like a freaking ugly stick. I hate it.
Yeah, I would. If you're really hardcore jig, bro, you gotta at least 7.4 minimum lengthwise, bro. I'm telling you, it's such a difference.
Maybe a heavy.
So that's something I've been thinking about a lot lately because I live and die by the jig, and it was the very first custom rod I ever had built by the owner at Dragon Custom Tackle before I met the guys at Wicked Custom Rods. And he was debating getting into it, so he built rods for the team, and it was just a nightmare situation dealing with a certain supplier. So he decided not to do it from that point forward. But I still have that rod, and it's a 7.2. I guess I kind of have to tell who the supplier is. They've fixed their stuff right now, so I don't. They had a problem before. They're good now. They've been good for the last couple of years. But it's a 7.2 medium heavy fast, built on a North Fork composite X-ray blank. It's stupid light and stupid sensitive. And I like it because even if I get crazy and I feel like throwing a 1/4 ounce jig on it, or even Texas rigging, if I'm going like hard on Texas rig, I can do it with that. It's soft enough I can get with the lightweight stuff. But it's still got enough backbone that I could throw like a 1 ounce jig with a giant trailer on it, and it will still do fine. I've only thrown a 1 ounce a couple times. I've thrown plenty of 3/4 ounce on there, and it works great. But where were we just? Oh, this past weekend. I was making some like 150, 175 foot casts of that thing, and getting bit at the very end of my cast.
And you're like,
I don't like braid to leader for my jig. I do it on so many other things, but I go straight floor.
Straight floral, bro.
Yep,
Yes.
I can't do anything else.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
and I go straight 15 pound because I don't want anything too much heavier because those I fish and lose hypermag from my main go-to reel, and the line capacity on that isn't great. Plus, I just don't like the stiffer feel of like a 18 or a 20 pound. Like 15 pound to me is like the sweet spot. I can fish that anywhere, and even smallmouth will bite on that. But I mean, at the end of a 175 foot cast, and I think that's a pretty accurate assessment of that distance for a really long one. And I couldn't get the hook set on some of these fish. It's just too damn far. But if I had a 7.4 heavy rod, now I think I can get it done. So I've been talking to John, the owner at Wicked Custom Rods, about that I want to do that. Like, I want my next one to, like, we're going all out. I'm going to do the X-ray blank again because I freaking love it. I want it a little bit longer and stiffer so that I can pin those fish even, like, on a 200 foot cast. On a good day, I can hit 200 feet. None of this, like, people talking about, like, I can throw it 150 yards. No, you can't.
150 yards.
You know how far that is?
Oh, dude, so many people talk about their cast in yards, not feet. And, like, you do understand when you say, like, 100 to, like, 120 yards, you're talking
Further than
300, 390 feet. Like, go into a football field and show me that you're casting further than the whole freaking
Hit the
field.
fence at the driving range.
Right? You're not doing it.
Yeah, there's no shot. There's actually no chance.
No,
No.
not even close.
What did we say? Oh, Joe said 7.6 Alpha Angler. Hitler is what he likes.
Hitler.
Hitter. Wow, did I really say that? Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
It's been a long day.
My
But anyway,
God.
says it's a short butt, loads big, lifts cinder block, dope rod. That's what I like to hear.
I like that.
Vance, for me, even going from a 7 to a 7.4, it's night and day difference, especially you need that little extra length to pick up that slack. Yep. Daniel,
I mean, I would love to have a longer rod so we're fishing in deeper water. It's just easier to pick up that slack. And by the time you're like halfway, you're already into the fish. And you can actually set that hook
right.
and not have to try and shit.
Reel comes in handy for that, though. But
Yeah,
so,
true.
while we're on the topic of gear, so, Mike, you said you fish a 7.4 heavy fast, I think you said?
7.4 heavy fast, Denali NX3 rod. That's just the company that I'm working with right now. I do like the rod, and I would tell you if I didn't like the rod, even if I didn't like it, I would tell you I didn't like it. If I liked it, I'd tell you I like it, and I honestly do like it. I used to be a cork guy, and then I kind of like I got off the cork because I was always constantly, my boat's like, when I'm on my boat in tournament or whatever, like shit's always getting stepped on, it's getting crushed, it's getting broke, and the cork would always be like mangled, look like a dog shoot on it. So
Yep.
I kind of switched to the wing grip style things. I definitely like that. But that's just me. Like I said, everyone has their own preference in rod and what they like. I like a longer butt. Like I like it to sit like pretty much right at the end of my elbow on my flipping stick, just because a lot of times when you're pitching tight and close cover, you don't have a lot of pull. So if you have a short butt, where are you going to put it? It's gonna always slide off your arm, and that's just going to allow the fish more power. That's me.
What I've known.
Yeah.
Kind of figured out with my wrist. I kind of want a longer butt so I can really.
Yeah,
I don't have to put all that force in my wrist.
Right. Well, yeah, you got more of your forearm to brace it anyway, and you can still tuck the butt up against your body a little bit easier. So you've got a lot more of your body to lessen that load for and provide even stronger leverage for your hook set.
Right.
Yes.
Because sometimes, I mean, obviously we with like setting a hook into a giant.
Yeah.
And your rod just kind of like, oh shit.
Yeah, you're trying to bring the reel seat up here, but your rod tip wants to stay down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're
Exactly.
looking down, you're like, oh shit. Come on.
Hook sets like that, though, absolutely make me rock hard.
Oh my god!
Yeah, they're definitely exciting. They're definitely that's good stuff.
Yeah. The hook set? What?
The hook set from the swim bait video.
Yeah.
From the one I'm editing.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love that sound.
Sick.
So you said straight fluoro. Continue to elaborate, and I'm curious. What's your go-to reel choice and your line, both pound test and brands, and multiple. Like what's your primary and what you're happy with as backups in case you can't get your first choice online.
I throw Seagar. I've always thrown Seagar. I like Seagar. And Invisex. And Brazex is not for me. Invisex I really like.
Really?
Though I have been fooling around with a little bit of that Defiant line. It's new. Not even sure if it's out yet. But it comes in like weird sizes. Like instead of 17, they have 18. Instead of 20, they have 22. So, I mean, when you're doing other things, it helps a little bit. But mostly on Invisex, 17 or 20, that's all I flip with. I won't throw anything lighter than that. If I'm throwing a Texas rig, I might go to 15, depending on exactly what I'm trying to accomplish. Like, just for example, about how much I think line size matters, I threw 20-pound for my Carolina rig. I threw 20-pound main line to 20-pound leader on the St. Lawrence River. So you're talking about the clearest body of water probably in the United States of America. I've never been to California, but I'm sure something's very similar to that. I don't think that line size matters as much as people think it does. It's fluorocarbon. They can't see it anyways. So that's that. I throw Shimano Metaniums. That's what I like. It's got a decent sized spool. Super light. I mean, I like the light. I like as light as you can possibly go. I mean, like I said, I flip a jig all day long pretty much, and a heavy rod with a heavy reel. I don't really have big hands either, so I mean, it's pretty fucking wearing at the end of the day.
Yeah, I can't do Invisex.
So I'm reading the chat.
Unless it was my rod, but
I don't know, man. Like, reading the chat, Joe said Invisex is a jig line and Brazex is a reaction bait line, less stretch than Invisex. I've always known that to be the polar opposite. Brazex is like a stout, stiffer line, but like still supple. It's a higher end version to me than the red label.
Yeah.
And that's what I liked about it. It's just as strong, but it's like supple. Whereas that Invisex, I feel like stretches a damn mile. It's almost comparable to monofilament. But and that's what I've always been told too. And that's my personal experience. The feel of the lines that I've had. That's just always.
I mean, I was running 15-pound red label, and then I saw the Invisex, and I was like, "Oh, I'll try that." So I grabbed the 15-pound Invisex, and it felt like I was throwing mono. To me, I don't know. Maybe not, but that's what it felt like. Super stretchy.
Interesting.
I guess maybe. I mean, since 2008, I haven't thrown anything other than Seagar, so I guess maybe I forgot what it feels like to throw a different line, to feel a different, everything's normal to me. Like, I couldn't tell you what stretchy feels like because I've been throwing the same thing for so long that I don't even notice it anymore.
Right.
I'm used to it.
Yep. No, I got that.
Maybe it's because I'm just so used to red label that it's just different.
True. And red label is
it probably was
stout.
That. Yeah, it probably was that. It was probably just different, and I just didn't like it.
Could be. For me, I mean, I've kind of run the gamut on everything, but now I've settled in on a Brazex for pretty much everything, especially for my jig rod. I'm debating going to Tatsu for my jig rod because I've been using Tatsu for my drop shot line, and I love it. I know a lot of guys that swear by it, but I don't know that. I don't know. I got to do a little bit more reading up on it to see, like, okay, is it really worth, the extra, what is it, $13 a spool to line, it's only one rod, so it's not like I got to spread this out over multiple rods where I'm going to take the hit. It's literally just my jig rod I'm talking about.
And that's what I would love to fucking touch base on is that I change my line probably every tournament, if not, or every other tournament. So I got 6 or 7 jig rods tied up, and if I were to throw a tattoo on everything, I don't think I'd even be able to afford the tournament.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So,
You'd be
I mean,
behind it if you want.
if you can afford it, I mean, I would throw a tattoo for sure. I mean, it's a little, it's definitely a totally different feel. Like, cause I throw their 10 and 8 tattoo for my spinning rods, which I only have 4 spinning rods. That's how much spinning rod stuff I do. But I do really like it for as far as the light line. I never actually even tried it for anything other than that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I think it's 40. Is it 45 or 30? No, Brazix is 30 something a spool.
Tattoo for life.
Tattoo, I think,
Hashtag
is
tattoo for life.
45 a spool. Maybe it's not that high. Whatever it is, it's freaking expensive. And you know, I was trying to last year up my game for my drop shot, right? And that's why I was thinking, like, all right, I'll start asking around and get feedback. And everybody that I know that's like diehard drop shot was like, dude, go tattoo and go 6 pound. I can't do that. Like,
I'm looking at it right now. Tatsu 20-pound test is $60 for a 200-yard spool, and it's $50 for a 15-yard spool.
Yeah, so I was right. So yeah, then the Abrasics, I think it's like $37 or $38 for a 200-yard spool of 15 pound.
It's ridiculous.
Tatsu is the Abrasics, but with a smaller diameter.
Oh, that is so nice.
But it's one of those,
So
like,
you could run 20-pound tattoo and it'd feel like probably 17-pound.
maybe you'd actually have to look at the difference in diameters, and I'm curious, like, how different is it? You know, you're talking
Now,
you know,
my question to you is, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You want me to type it in the box, or can I just ask you?
Go ahead and ask me.
So if you're fishing a jig, right?
Yep.
And you're fishing in the grass. So say for example, you're fishing thick grass. Can they see 60-pound test?
Hell no.
No.
You can run friggin' lime green.
So if you're fishing a jig and you're fishing an inch of water, or even 10 inches of water up against the bank under some laydowns, can they see 20, 30-pound test, 40-pound test?
I don't care about what the size of the line, how much.
I personally don't think that, like, super shallow fish and fish in the grass, they're not going to see that line.
No.
That's why I always have the conversation with people when they ask me, well, why do you throw 20-pound test? Is because it's relevant. I mean, I'm fishing around structure. I'm fishing in thick grass normally when I'm throwing a jig. So why wouldn't I want a heavier line? Because more than likely they're either going to A, bring you under the dock, or B, bring you through the sticks.
Right. So if I was fishing, say, like Champlain a lot more often, where I'm going to run into bigger fish and there's a lot more structure over there for me to fish, I'd probably switch to all 20-pound for my jig.
Yeah.
But 15, like, I still
Castability.
That's the biggest thing. Like, for years, my mentality was, you know, what I had read and what people hammered into my brain all those years, right? Like, go the lightest you can because the fish can see it. Well, that's not true because fluorocarbon is invisible, so it shouldn't matter. And it took me a while to break that habit, but I eventually came around. And, you know, now I throw different line weights depending upon what my technique is. Like, I still don't have a ton of rods, so I have multiple rod. You know, I have one rod that tries to do multiple techniques. But end of the day, it all comes down to castability. What Andrew just said. Like, could I get away with 20 pounds on my line?
I did for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I literally just friggin'
yeah.
backlashed all hell, and I had to take all my 15-pound off my reel. I had to literally cut out my jig reel. I haven't done that in years. It was bad. It was bad, dude.
I spent like 15 minutes trying to get it out. I couldn't get it.
Yeah, I mean, the total, we spent almost a half an hour between the two of us trying to, like, clean this backlash out, and it was done. So I had to cut it all out, and I didn't have any 15-pound. Like, well, I got 20-pound, and I know it's not going to make a difference for the bite. I threw it on, and I fucking hated it. Because the castability difference on that, for that reel, for my hybrid mag, dude, I hated it. It was not, I knew it was an adjustment, right? It's a lot thicker line going from that 15-pound Abrasics to the 20-pound Red Label, but, like, it just, for my setup, that lighter line was key. And I can still catch them just fine with the 15-pound. I never break that shit off.
No.
That holds up.
Better knock on that table, because especially if you're going fishing this weekend.
Yeah, just in case. But, I mean, dude, I've got wrapped around boulders and that 15-pound holds up. Like, 15 does pretty amazing things, but I'm also not regularly catching 5 and 6 pounders. So, you know, I'm talking like 4s that are pulling me into heavy stuff, and I can still survive it. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind going to 20 pound if I get away with it, but fine. But I would probably have to go to Tatsu at that point because
We should at least go to 17 one day and just bring both out. And
I would love
when you
to
start really getting on them, just switch to the 17 and continue to get on them. And you'll realize, I don't know, why would I throw lighter when I don't have to? You know, just to me, that's my mental thing. Because
It's
I don't know, knock on wood, I haven't
security.
snapped off on a fish
It's security.
right.
in quite a long time.
Yep. So
Why not?
what? What Joe say? Mike, you're the man. I use Tatsu only because I think it casts best. I could save way more money if I didn't care about castability. Yeah, no, and again, it's, you know, what
For sure.
you're comfortable with and what you can afford more than anything in this case. By all
Yeah,
means, like,
absolutely.
if I could afford Tatsu, I would have switched ages ago. But I'm frugal. I wouldn't consider myself cheap because I mean I drop big money on things. I literally, yeah, no, I'm not cheap. I'm frugal. I know how to stretch my money. So like when it came to even looking at just leader line for my drop shot, it's one friggin' spool that's gonna last me all year, and I'm hemming and hawing about the difference of $13 between my Brazix to Tatsu. Like, oh, is it really worth it? And I finally bit the bullet, and like, you know, now I look back on that decision a year ago, and I'm like, that was stupid. I'm, you know, hemming and
It's so
hawing.
weird. It's so weird, like being like fishing the opens this year. So many people bash Invisex, and I'm looking at the chat, and so many people are like, I don't trust Invisex, Invisex this, and then you're telling me that you're not an Invisex fan, and I'm thinking in my head like, I've been throwing Invisex for 15 years, and I've never had an issue with it. I don't. That it's so hard. It's just, that just shows you like you can't go by what people say. You know, you actually got to go out and test the things that you want to try and put actual time and effort into what you want to grow your confidence in. Because I mean, by everything I've seen today and heard today about Invisex, if I was just starting, I would never ever buy that line, and I would just think it's complete garbage.
Most definitely not. I mean, I can tell you that I've never broken a fish off on it.
No, you just missed him.
Yeah, I just missed them. Just because
Yeah.
I wasn't used to it.
Right.
It's just a different bite.
Yeah. I swear by it. I've always had it in my head, and I feel like, in my opinion, it is still stretchier than anything else I throw. That's all I throw on my casting gear, on my 10 pound and my 12 pound for my my moving baits, my crankbaits and stuff, and some of my Texas Freak stuff. I throw Invisex. I love it for that. Because in my head, I feel like it's a slightly stretchier line, and it just works great for my moving bait. But for everything else, because I feel it's stretchier, like I don't want it for anything else. Like, you know, like my spinner baits, like my heavy hook stuff, right? Jigs, spinner baits, chatter baits, like things like that. I want something a little bit stiffer because it's a bigger hook. I want to be able to send that bitch home.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, it works just fine for you doing all the same damn things. Like, what you said is spot on. You got to find something that works for you and go with it. Like, I won't fish P-line ever. If the devil fished, he'd throw P-line. But I know plenty of guys that live by that, and it works great for them. So, you know, whatever, man, rock it.
I know tons of guys that love P-line. Like you just said, it's all about what you like to throw and where your confidence is. Back to confidence again. That's pretty much everything in fishing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Backing up a little bit, Tao asked, why not braid? And I'm assuming he means specifically for your jig setups. And I'm going to go first on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Abrasion resistance sucks on braid. And I fish hard structure, and especially rocks. We live in New England, glacial lakes. We are the granite state. You fish braid, you're going to have a bad goddamn day.
You're gonna lose almost every fish if it brings you down into those rocks.
Yeah, and I just like the feel of fluoro better anyway. You know, like, I mean, I do have my backup jig rod right now, and I only just started this recently. That is braid to a fluoro leader, and it's 30-pound braid to a 20-pound leader of fluoro. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it, man. Like, there's some instances, like, it's good, but you know how it is with braid. You get one bad cast, your day is done. That reel is done. Take it off, throw it in the lake.
That's why I was watching you do it. I was like, I don't know why you're throwing braid on that.
I wanted to try it because I felt like, you know, I'm like, you know, am I really missing bites? I don't think so. My jig rod is pretty goddamn sensitive. I don't think I'm missing anything. But
And
that,
hop is big.
you what?
Hop a jig, and it jumps way better than you think it is on braid too.
Oh Oh yeah.
I think, yeah. Well, there's no stretching it. You're gonna, yeah,
You're gonna feel everything with it, but
yeah. You can feel everything on braid.
Yeah, it's too much. And again, the big thing is that braid is the worst for abrasion resistance. So I'd like to fish rocks, and braid is just, I could throw a leader, but that leader knot is just, that's another failure point you're introducing into what you're doing.
Yeah, dude. I stayed with a group of kids that are out of college for the opens. Good friends. We really fucking bonded over the past year, and all of them guys throw braid to fluoro. And I think it's because they're cheap college kids and they couldn't afford to spool their line with fluoro all the time, so they just bought braid, and then they put their fluoro leader on. And they all argue with me all the time, like, oh, it's so much better. It does this better. It does that better. And Seth Fighter does it, and this guy does it. And I'm thinking in my head, but that's still one more knot that's in your line that doesn't have to be there. Why would you add another knot in your line if you don't need to?
Right. And it's one of those, with practice comes perfection or close to it. And if you've got like a really good knot, like I will live and die by the Alberto knot. And I know I tie a friggin' phenomenal leader knot 99% of the time, but I've already had 2 days now where I missed tying my leader knot right, and it was gone. One time I was throwing one of my burrito bait's gills. You can't even get this damn bait anymore. It is. If I were to sell it right now on open market, what do you think? $150 or $35 bait?
yeah, probably.
I mean, I can name my price on this thing, and I was throwing it on my big boy rod, but it was braid to a leader, and I didn't tie a good knot, and dude,
See
what,
ya.
150, 200 feet
It was gone.
in 5 feet of super mucky water. And I could see, we parked right over where it was. You couldn't see shit. And I was like, well, let's see what happens. I took my ego net and I just scooped the bottom. I just happened to snag the line and I got it back. But like, it's just, doesn't matter how good you get. You're never going to be 100% perfect. You just got that extra point of failure. I can't do it. For spinning rods, I'll do it all day long because all my spinning stuff is way less stout. Like, there's a lot of give in that. So it helps kind of compensate for that. And I don't mind the potential of the extra failure point that I'm introducing to that leader knot. But otherwise, I just, if we're talking straight jigs, frig that, man. I want straight fluoro.
Straight fluoro all day.
Yeah, and if you break off, you got to retie a leader. Like, no thanks.
And you'll never, ever change my mind.
Yeah. Joe said FG for life. So I want to see you tie the FG knot and a sustained 35-mile-an-hour wind in the pouring rain. How are you going to tie that, buddy? that was my deciding factor because I tried the FG knot. And it's great. I love how thin and low profile it is, nice and long, and it's one of the strongest leader knots that you can tie as far as I know. But my God, dude, trying to tie that in like 3-4 foot waves when the wind's hammered on you and it's raining, no, I do not trust myself to tie that knot.
That's not fun. All set.
Yeah.
Joe says, have me on the show and I'll show you. What are you going to go sit outside in your laptop in the rain and the boat and the waves and show me how to do it or what?
Right? I want to see that. So, I'll go first. I don't know about you. So, Mike already covered. Oh, wait. You didn't talk. You talked about line. What about your reel? What reel do you throw for your jig setup?
I throw Shimano Metanium. That's the reels that I throw. They're great. I mean, you're paying a pretty penny for them, but I mean, fishing is my only hobby and it's pretty much the only thing I do. So if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do what I want to do. So I spend a little extra money in the up front. That way I can get a quality product and not have to worry about getting a new reel every year or getting, you know what I'm saying?
Right. So, what gear ratio on it?
7-1 to 1 or 7-3 to 1. I forget what they are.
Yep. So for me, right now, my go-to, my primary is a Lose Hypermag. The thing's stupid light, and it casts a mile. It's still buttery smooth now, 2 years into owning it, and it's an 8-3 to 1. So that thing takes up a ton of line really fast.
Yeah.
And I love it. And it's on that custom-built rod, so the whole thing lined, like fresh, maxed out with 15-pound fluoro, which, line doesn't really add that much weight, but and tied on a 1/2 ounce jig. The whole thing weighed 14 ounces and change. It's a light setup, dude. And
Yeah, that's nice.
But my backup, it was before I got that. It's now I bought a Shimano Corrado, and that was a 7.2 to 1, and I friggin' love that thing too. I still have it. It's on my backup jig rod. I love Shimano. Everything, Luz, Shimano, Daiwa, like you can't go wrong with any three of those brands. They just all make friggin' absolute quality stuff. But yeah, if I'm fishing jigs, I want that higher gear ratio, 7.2 minimum. I don't mind going a little bit higher. I don't feel like I'm missing out like on any torque to pull them out. I mean, most of the time anyway. Like, I forget who it was. I watched a video recently where they were talking about, like, don't go too high gear ratio because you don't, it lacks the torque to really force fish out. I'm like, that's what the rod's for.
That makes literally no sense because your torque is your speed coming out.
Yeah.
Pulling them.
Yeah, like I'm using the rod to yank them out of that hard cover, not trying to reel them out.
No,
I reel down to it and
come on,
horse and reel down.
No.
Just
Jesus.
and then what's your jig setup, Andrew?
Mine is for the reel.
Yeah. Is it?
I can't remember the name.
Oh, it's the Luz Custom Pro Speed Spool SLP. I know you can't read that from here.
It's an 8.3 to 1. Yeah, it's an 8.3 to 1.
Yep.
Also, I was running 7.3, which was great, and then I just bought the 8.3, and I just liked it more. I like the speed to be able to pick up the line faster, especially when you're pitching. You want to get it in quick, get it out. It's nice.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So actually, on the topic of knots, I'm actually really curious what you do, Mike. What knot do you tie, and does it even matter what knot you're tying when it comes strictly to jigs? Do you run something different, or do you just have a what knot works all?
I only throw Palomar knot. That's the only knot I ever tie.
My man. I love Palomar. It works for everything. It works phenomenal as long as you wet it when you go to cinch it down. I think it's a big thing a lot of people miss, because otherwise it does curl your line pretty hard.
Yep.
I never had a problem, and that I do remember. I watched a video recently. The hell it came up for, but it was something with Gerald Swindle. I love the dude. And he was talking about jigs, and he was like, he went on like a 30-second tirade about absolutely do not ever throw or tie a Palomar knot for your jig.
Who said this?
G-Man. And I was like, what? The hell's wrong with a Palomar knot for a jig? And I forget what his reasoning was. Aside from the line curling if you burn it, but as long as you lube it up before you cinch it down.
I think he throws like a San Diego jam knot or something. He throws something crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that shark knot. That thing's crazy.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is because
like
that's how much I care about trying to learn a new knot. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, and it definitely ain't broke, so I ain't fixing it.
Zona tied it on something once. I think he was actually throwing a jig or something, and I tried it. That thing is freaking strong.
Yeah.
Super strong. It's like a beefed up Palomar knot.
Well, what do you tie?
No idea.
I'm pretty sure John, the owner of Wicked Custom Rods, we were talking about.
It never breaks.
I'm 99% sure you tie the improved cinch knot. Because John and I were talking about it the other day, and he was helping me retie a couple rods when I was going out for practice with my high schoolers. And we got talking about knots, and one of your jigs was on the floor. He's like, "Oh, Andrew ties the improved cinch knot." And I was like, "The what?" Because I just use Palomar,
I have no idea what that is. I just been tying it forever, and it's very strong.
I'm positive it's that, and it is a great looking knot, but it is pretty bulky, which isn't an issue. But it just
Apparently it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. Not at all. I do want to back up for 1 second. Tao said something. From my understanding, fighter flips deep foil, so he uses braid. I don't see being able to pull 5 to 6 pounders out of deep foil with straight fluoro.
Yeah, you can.
Dude, I did it with 10 pound. You absolutely.
I did it with 8 pounds.
Now you can go on my Instagram, and I think like 5 or 6 videos down, I'm fishing like 12 or 15 foot deep milfoil on Lake Champlain, and that fish was like 4 and change, heavy 4.
Yep.
I pulled him right out of the weeds, no issues.
I pulled that fish when I was saying, I was like, oh yeah, I got grass. Oh, that's a fish.
Yep.
Yeah, I was in 25 feet.
Yep.
I pulled him out in 15 pound.
If there's one thing I can say, don't underestimate just how much you can horse fish with straight fluoro. Like, and a lot of that just comes to the gear you're using, right? Like, especially the rod that you're using, that's where a lot of your power is going to come from. But, like, you can, I mean, I have pulled some pretty big fish out of some gnarly shit in deep water on straight 10-pound fluoro. So, 15-pound and up, like, dude, all day long. All day
Sure,
long.
I caught my PB on 12-pound. I think I was throwing 12-pound back then.
Yep. Yeah, that, granted, a little bit shallower, but no, it's a 7.5-pound largemouth. That is crazy boulders.
Yeah.
And she came right up, not an issue.
Yep.
Brandon, I can do the San Diego Jam. I can tie it in 15 seconds flat, never broken it. I can do it with a 6-pound drop shot. Nice. I've heard the San Diego Jam is a good knot.
No idea what it is.
No, I forget who I was talking to about that. It's a couple years ago when I started like debating, like, do I need to tie a new knot? And I did. I don't know what knot it was my dad taught me. It's not too different from what a Palomar knot is for like the overall size and the way you tie it and everything. But for, I don't know, it's weird. The knot honestly does not play well with all different line types. As silly as that sounds, I promise you. Like different brands. Like, it worked mint for Red Label, but when I went to Abrasics, it slipped. I cannot explain it. It shouldn't matter, but it absolutely did. I know I was tying it right. I've been tying it my entire life. And it does not work on braid. It straight up just cuts right through braid. So it's weird, but switch to Palomar and then tie it literally anything. Doesn't matter.
Wow.
Joe said...
I wish you could see me right now.
I can. What the hell are you wearing?
Is that a wig?
I put on my mullet wig for the end of the stream.
we can see you, but like the video preview I have, because I got like a video preview over here in the stream, and then I've got like the actual chat. But the video preview we see, it's like 240p. It is so super duper low resolution, so I can't really see the detail on it. Is it as good as that? Is it as glorious as I think it is?
It's pretty.
Oh, it's glorious. Glorious.
Pretty freaking good.
Oh my god.
That's gonna be my background. I'm gonna put that as my profile picture.
Joe said fighter doesn't use braid to cut grass. He does it so you can use a lighter rod to be more accurate flipping and run that technique all day without getting tired. See, that makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Yeah, Joe, thanks for joining, buddy. We're definitely still alive. We'll probably be at it a little bit longer. I think there's still a couple of things that we want to talk about. Man, I'm trying to think. Okay, so, one of the things we didn't touch upon that I think is important is different jig head types. Now, I know you said that you really only fish a football jig, but when you do venture out from that, what are you throwing?
I realistically only throw like three types of heads. I throw just like the little Magnum, which is a teardrop.
Yep.
I throw used to be the only jig I threw. It's an Omega flipping jig. It's got kind of like an archy head. It's got a super stout 5/0 mustad. It's super good jig.
Yep.
And then obviously I throw the football jig. But I mean, most people think that because, like, for example, the little Magnum is designed to be fished in the grass, that you can only fish it in the grass or only good in the grass. Or, I mean, I throw this little jig through legitimately 4 feet of bushes to get that last little 3 inches of water that's behind it and catch so many fish, and no one will ever catch them because they will never ever do that.
Yep. I know.
And it just doesn't matter. It just you have to just fish that jig. If there's water, a fish can be there. I don't care if it's 2 inches of water, because I've caught them with legitimately half their back out of the water with their fins sticking up. Like, it doesn't matter. If there's water, there could be a fish there.
Yep. And you make an excellent point, because I do think a lot of people get way too hung up on jig style and what it's intended for, and like that's it. That's all they see. They've got blinders on. Football jig is only supposed to be fished open water, and maybe some rock sometimes, but just like straight up open water. Ball head jig, that's only supposed to be meant for friggin' fishing around rocks and stuff. so on and so forth.
I like throwing a football jig into trees because it knocks the shit out of the tree when you whack it.
Right. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Coming up through, you're making a ruckus.
Yep.
It's not just a little archy head just kind of swimming through.
Right.
Yep.
You can do so much more with something else. I mean, I never fished anything other than a football jig until like 5 years ago. Not date. I think only like 4 years ago. And then
Yeah, because then you're just like, oh, check these out. Check
yeah,
these
then
out,
I started
check these out.
throwing an
What are
archy jig.
these?
Yeah.
What are those?
But like, I mean, I could do everything. I fished milfoil, I fished eelgrass, I fished like whatever, like that cabbagey grass, rocks, sand. Like a football jig will do everything you need it to do. Is it ideal for everything? No, but you can still do it. You don't need to always have an ideal jig for certain situations. It's nice, and I like having that flexibility. Like depending on what type of vegetation, I'll go to an archy head because it's a little bit better to fish through some of that, like, you know, that finer kind of like mushier grass, but it'll still kind of stand. You know, it's like a do-all kind of jig. I'm finding out the little Magnum, like you said, you know, it was meant to be a punching jig, right? Like fish heavy vegetation. Dude, that thing climbs through rocks like a champ because it's round. Like you said, it's that teardrop shape. It just slides through that hard structure so good. You can there is no limit to what you can do with jigs. So like you put it perfectly.
Yep. And that's how I feel about it. I don't think it really matters, and it just goes right back to what we've been talking about all night: is where your confidence is and how you feel about it.
Right. So I mean, go ahead. What were you saying?
I said absolutely.
Yeah.
Just agreeing. That's all I'm doing. I'm just agreeing.
So I mean,
Jigs, yes.
well.
Yes.
So with all that said, though, like I'm starting to, I love fishing jigs, and I'm starting to experiment a lot more with like what I'm doing. So I do have a variety of styles. Almost everything is Beast Coast because, you know, especially now with, you know, again, the little Magnum and the open water sniper, like he's almost got the entire breadth of structure and like what kind of style of fishing, whether it be smallmouth or largemouth. Like he's got almost the whole gamut covered at this point.
Got jigs covered.
Yeah. But like, if I'm looking
Not
for
yet.
like
No, not yet.
not yet, he's getting close.
It's getting there.
If I'm looking for like that kind of like do-all jig, you either do football or an archy head. Archy head is a little bit better for slipping through vegetation. You know, again, if you got like that really mushy, like super thick stuff, pretty much anything you throw is going to get hung up in that pretty hard. But the archy head will be a little bit better than others. Football head is great for fishing open water. You can fish it in vegetation, certainly, except for like that really thick, mushy crap. It tends to really hang up on that. You can fish it in and around rocks. It works killer. Little Magnum, again, works great literally anywhere that thing does. The only thing is, if you want it to stand, it's not going to do that. It's going to roll over on itself. If I'm going smallmouth, I like to go a little bit smaller profile, but still stay heavy. Like, you know, the open water sniper is perfect. It's now taken over my other go-to jigs, which was just a regular football jig, but now I get something a little more compact, which I like. There's no brush guard. I don't need it because I'm typically fishing, you know, super clean open water for smallmouth. So smaller profile, football head, so I can drag or hop along. And then I don't know what I use. I use some of the Gorilla swim jigs from Beast Coast, but there's a couple other that I cannot remember the brand of. But like a swim jig, like if I'm straight up fishing like some thick veggies and I like to swim it, I'll go to the swim jig head. You know, because it really is nice to have that slightly bulkier brush guard and that really nice tapered head to be able to really just easily navigate, maneuver cleanly through all that heavy vegetation. So, yeah, can you get one jig to do it all? Absolutely. I like everything. So, and I like to experiment with different things. So I've got like literally every kind of jig head style you can get at this point.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm with you. I like the football heads a lot. I just do. They just work.
They do.
They're pretty well rounded. Got him.
I hate you. You had to do it.
You had to do it. You had to do it.
Ooh, TJ's sending us some sneaky stuff.
Yeah.
Little rig set up. That's literally what I'm going to throw tomorrow for these kids. Speaking of which, it's getting late. Was there anything in the chat that we missed recently? Ray, I guess I don't have to cut the weed guard on my Kitech jigs anymore, even though that barely is a weed guard. These
It's
still
just
fill with water or don't. Yeah.
a little like little ding, one little
I
strand.
think it's literally like 4 friggin' strands, and
Yeah.
that's it. Like,
Yeah.
it's nothing.
Yeah,
I cut those too.
just cut them right off.
Yeah. Brendan, I know it's off topic, but did any of you throw the glide this past trip? You talked about it last Thursday.
I did.
You did.
I threw it for a little while.
Didn't pan out.
No, I had a couple perch follow it up, but that was about it.
It
I
don't-
probably could have grinded out and probably got a follower, but I think that's all I would have gotten out of it. And it probably would have been a pike.
Yeah. From everything we saw, it seemed very clear that those fish were feeding down. Like, I mean, the few fish that we boxed for a picture, they were coughing up crawfish. Like, they were all about it. And they were stacked around tons and tons and tons of perch.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't seem like they were really trying to eat them. Or if they were, like, they weren't coming up very far to eat them either.
I threw the what's it called too?
For big bait?
Yeah.
I know you're throwing... Oh, A-rig.
Yeah, that's not an A-rig too.
A Vermont legal A-rig,
Yeah.
for the record. We did it right.
What is that? I can't see.
It's the Vanquish jig. Joe was asking me why I didn't mention it.
Oh,
I mentioned it. The Arky head style, the Vanquish. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. I love it. Tao, another great question. When to put down the jig? I'm going to go first.
can I go? Can we go at the same time?
You first.
Never.
Never.
Yeah. How about we should have just all went on all? We should have just went on 3 because I'm pretty sure we were all going to say the same exact thing.
I can actually think of one instance where I'll put it down. And it's only particular to smallmouth. Because I will still fish a jig like all hell for smallmouth. But if I see that they're very clearly fishing suspended, I'm not even going to bother picking up my jig the rest of the day. Because they'll follow it all day long. And I might get lucky and get one of them to really commit to it on the way down. I'm not good enough yet to feel them pick it up on the fall. If I had active target where I could actually actively watch them to see them following it down and know, like, okay, it's getting, like, close, I should be ready. Otherwise, like, I can feel sometimes when they're biting on the fall, but I'm not good enough to hit them when they're hitting it on the fall. So this last Thursday and Friday, I was out on Winnipesaukee pre-fishing for my high school kids trying to find some good smallmouth. And the first few spots I rolled up onto, what'd you do? Mike, you broke it.
No, I'm here. I'm fixed. I'm fixed.
Oh, you're
I'm fixed.
The
That wig, dude. It's fucking getting me.
I can't catch those smallmouth if they're suspended like that. Like, I found some great fish out way deeper than I anticipated, and they were feasting in the middle of the water column. And actually even higher. Like, there you go. Like, oh, you bastard. Everybody likes you. Nobody likes me. You know, up in like 20 feet off the bottom, or no, 20 feet below the surface. I couldn't get them to touch a jig. I could watch them. You know, if I dropped it down, they'd follow it, but they wouldn't close any closer than 5 feet off the bottom. That's when I put it down. And I got to do something different. Technically, I pick up a different style of jig, because I was just a Mickey rig. And that's just like a fancy finesse jig. You just don't let it touch the bottom. But, I don't know, man. Like, I'm glad we covered that, Mike, and that you brought up a really good point. Like, I wanted to cover all the different jig head styles, but you made the best point that just because, you know, a Vanquish jig, the Vanquish jig, like an Arky head style, is ideal for vegetation, or the little Magnum, does not mean that's what you only do with it. You can do anything that you want with these things.
Anything. Whatever you want to do, you can do it.
Yeah. Chat, we're going to wrap this up in a few minutes, so hit us with any of your last-minute questions before we wrap this up. Was there any last-minute points you had, Andrew, that you wanted to bring up that we really didn't cover, whether it be gear-related or colors or certain conditions?
Yeah. I don't know. It's just always bring a jig with you whenever you go.
Pretty much. It legitimately is an ice out to ice in, a 100% all year long thing. You know, just
There's a very, very good jig fishing video, and they're fishing grass. It was Zona and KVD.
oh yeah,
They were
yeah.
fishing jigs. They were just fishing deep grass with jigs. You should go check that one out. That's an awesome video.
There was that one. There's another one. Zona Awesome Fishing Show. It was episode 1. Oh, I don't remember what season it was, but he was down on I think it was Dale Hollow. and I forget what pro he's fishing with, but it was like they were talking about like,
They were throwing football jigs.
yep, and it was like they were talking like it was wicked cold water. It was like 47-degree water, and they're like, it's freezing down here.
Perfect.
Right? I was like, that's ideal. Are you kidding me? And they were hammering him on it, largemouth and smallmouth, but especially the smallmouth. Yeah, both of those. If you can find the one he's talking about in that Zona show, they're both phenomenal ones. If I had a parting thought to elaborate on something we didn't get to touch on too much tonight, but there's two colors we recommended: black, green pumpkin, and you can go like the whole color spectrum in between that. Right now, they're starting to really change colors. So if you're into jigs, you're trying to go to that next step up, start doing your research, and start looking for. There's certain colors you want to start keying in on, and it's starting to change. You know.
This is the color, if you can see it. This is the color I was using. This is the setup.
Oh, is that your Instagram one?
Yeah.
Now you're gonna slide to the side because you're behind Mike.
Down this way.
Go to your side. There you go. So it was a straight green pumpkin jig with a green pumpkin and orange laminate trailer.
Yep.
And then I was throwing the Texas crawl with that same trailer, and it was working great. I don't know, Mike. You got any parting thoughts? I'm looking at the chat. I'm not seeing any questions yet. So what do you got for parting thoughts?
My parting thoughts is, if you're not a jig fisherman, you should become one. And if you don't have a lot of confidence, just go out and only bring a jig and bring more than one. Because if you're not losing any, you're not fishing the jig right. And keep it in your hand. Just give it an honest day.
I tell you what, if you need more confidence in how well a jig works, we have put multiple bags of 20+ pound stringers for our best 5 just in New Hampshire alone, just on jigs. Both smallmouth only, largemouth only, and mixed bags.
Yeah.
Last year,
8 straight weeks
of 20+ pound bags. 7 of those were all smallmouth. One day we had a good largemouth mixed in. It was yours, 4.5.
Yep.
All on jigs.
In 50+ feet of water.
In water that was 45 degrees and falling. Every week it got colder and colder. I think that it was 47 degrees. Maybe 50 the first day in that first week in that week stretch.
40s. I remember, because I was like, holy shit, that's cold.
yeah. But like, it's, dude, that, and I mean, well, I mean, I know my PB largemouth, my biggest largemouth I caught on a jig, 5 pounds, 14 ounces, if memory serves correct, somewhere right around there. And then my PB smallmouth that tied it, 5 pounds even last fall, jig. What was your biggest largemouth, biggest smallmouth, Andrew?
My biggest largemouth on the jig was 7 pounds, 7 ounces, and my biggest smallmouth was 5 pounds even.
And then that was last year, smallmouth too. Mike, what about you? What's your biggest largemouth and biggest smallmouth on jig?
My biggest smallmouth on a jig was 5'4".
Ah, you cocks.
And my biggest largemouth on a jig, I actually got it on video, was 7'6", and that was actually in New Jersey, which is a fucking giant.
Get fucked. Andrew's happy he beat you on something.
What time of year did you catch the largemouth?
In the summer.
Andrew caught his. We literally went out to this. It was 3 years ago now, or 4 years?
3 or 4. It's March 24th.
It was the last year I had the Ranger.
Yep.
So it was 2018.
2018.
Yeah, and we went out on Friday to snowblow the boat launch, and then we fished Sunday. So 2 days later.
Yep.
And it was
38.
Yeah, water temp was 38 degrees. There was still snow all over the place. Like, if we didn't go out and snowblow the boat launch on Friday, we would not be able to fish on Sunday. It was just warm enough that whatever we couldn't scrape up with the shovel and the snowblower finally melted out, so we could get out and fish.
For a 30-acre pond.
Yeah, and he ends up catching a 7 pound, 7 ounce largemouth.
That's awesome.
My big largemouth came in the middle of the year. I mean, granted, it's a big fish, but it's not like a giant, not like you guys.
My biggest largemouth is 8 pounds, but the biggest on a jig is 7'6".
Yeah, but my smallmouth came in super cold water too, dude. Like, I mean, like, especially cold water, I really feel like it's one of the best things.
If you can find them, that's where you're gonna get the big ones.
Yep.
If you can find them.
Yeah, that's gonna be advanced. We touched on scent earlier, but I'm happy with the smelly jelly cross scent or baitfish. Kind of change up every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. All right, I think that's it. We've been at this for 2 hours. It's a pretty damn good night. So I want to thank everybody. Anybody that's still here, if you haven't liked the stream, please do that. Everybody that donated, holy shit, thank you so much. We hit $240 something tonight in donations.
Jesus.
Absolutely incredible. Like at this point, we're at $750 out of our $1,000 goal towards that digital camera we want to get, so we can get 4K quality on these streams. After that, we'll work towards new mics. I've got to fix this setup too, so we have people call in. The overall audio quality is better, but
I mean, those mics are pretty good.
no, I mean those are great. I'm just thinking for when people call in, I got to figure out something better. But again, yeah, if you haven't done it yet, please leave a like on the stream. It helps immensely. More than anything, anybody that's willing to, not now, but maybe even tomorrow, share the stream with friends and family. Like, post it on Facebook groups that you're constantly on, any other fishing forums, like that. More than anything else,
we're doing Christmas cards this year.
Most for getting this to grow, and we killed it tonight. I don't know if you're able to see, Mike, but we averaged almost 50 people throughout the whole night, which is phenomenal. And the average watch time, I think, is about one of the highest we've ever had, a little over $15. So just awesome. Holy shit, Joe,
thanks.
Thank you very much for the donation, man. Greatly appreciated that. Holy shit, now we're at $260. I don't even know. Just insane.
That's awesome, bro. I'm happy for you guys.
Yeah,
you guys do it great, and I just want to really thank you for asking me to be here. I mean, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I'm glad we could make this out. I know you and I were talking a lot earlier in the year. I'm glad we were able to finally make this work, and I appreciate you taking the time to be on here and answering a ton of questions, not just for us, but for everybody else that's been watching as well. But go ahead and tell everybody where they can follow you on Instagram and maybe anything else you got working on in the future. But moment is yours for the moment.
My Instagram is at Mike Zan Fishing, and I'm hoping over the winter to get my YouTube up and going. I got a bunch of footage from the opens that I want to get edited properly and make a nice video. Yeah, it's up there above the fish tank, and yeah, you guys can definitely check it out. But I appreciate everyone who follows me, and that's all, man. I mean, I appreciate all you guys.
Your Instagram is absolutely killing it, by the way. I've been paying attention.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Well, it helps when you're really freaking good at fishing. You just constantly posting giants.
Man, I told you in the beginning of the stream, anyone who always catches them is a liar, and I did not catch them last weekend, so.
Yeah, but that's what makes you better than most. You're honest about your bad days, and not a lot of guys are willing to do that.
That's because they have big egos, and it really hurts them.
Yes, it does. I don't have an ego. What's an ego?
Yeah, the ego showed earlier this week.
Me?
No, not you.
Oh, I was gonna say. Oh, yeah. I saw that shit. So, other than that, you guys, thank you very much again. Greatly appreciate it. Holy Bob, thank you very much for the donation, buddy. Another $15 into the pot. Jesus, we're pretty close to $800 now.
Thanks, bruh. That's sick. I mean, Bob.
Thanks, bro.
Jesus,
So,
sick.
last parting thought for anybody still here. We were supposed to be doing the swim bait stream this Saturday. That's not going to happen anymore. There was confusion on the date that we were supposed to be doing this with the swim bait scrutiny guys. So, we had to postpone it, and I don't know when the next date's going to be. So, keep your eyes peeled for that. We'll have that information. I'll post it on my social media whenever that comes up. Otherwise, I'm going to let Andrew sign this off. I'm going to kill the stream. Everybody, thank you very much again. Have a great night.
Good night, guys. Appreciate it.
So, for it being the first Wednesday stream and having a guest, this was an amazing stream with the donations and everything. So, we will see you guys next week, same time, same place, on Wednesday, 8 o'clock.